live from Paris. Hold the Brexit. The High Court rules that Theresa May must go first to the London Parliament and get its approval before even considering triggering that Article 50, which of course is the process that would see the Britain leaving the EU. Now, this triggered celebrations among Remain campaigners, talk of betrayal among Brexiteers, and an appeal is said to be coming from the Tories. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi has called for no surrender in Mosul. The words of the leader of the Islamic State group are on an audio tape, the first word from him for almost a year. It's believed that he may be in Mosul. More migrant deaths in the Mediterranean. 2 separate incidents with the same sad outcome. Desperate people on overcrowded, unseaworthy boats drowning off Libya. Over 200 people have been lost. It's time for sport. Elliot Richardson is with us. We're starting with all the Europa League results, and it's, well, just not happening for Jose Mourinho at Manchester United. Elliot?
Yeah, I don't know quite what he needs at the moment, but it really isn't happening for them. Yet another defeat tonight, Mark. So Manchester United's poor season appears to be getting even worse after they were beaten again, this time in Turkey against Fenerbahce. Well, the Red Devils went into the game joint top of Europa League Group A alongside Feyenoord after beating Fenerbahce 4-1 at home just 2 weeks ago. But there was to be no repeat. Moussa Sow's brilliant overhead kick inside 2 minutes was added to by on-loan Sunderland winger Jermaine Lens as United toiled in Istanbul. Wayne Rooney's 25-yard consolation wasn't enough as United went down 2-1. They slipped to third in Group A. Well, it was a good night for Ligue 1 side Saint-Etienne in Azerbaijan as Oussam Tanan and Robert Beric goals saw them come from behind to win 2-1 against Kabbalah. Well, the French side remain unbeaten in Group C there. Well, 2008 winners Zenit have progressed as Group D winners after beating Irish minnows at Dundalk. Edin Dzeko scored twice as Roma went 3 points clear at the top of Group E, while Aritz Adjirith became the first player to score 5 goals in a single Europa League game as his Bilbao side beat Genk 5-3 in Spain. Ligue 1 leaders Nice went down 2-0 at home to Salzburg. Hai Chan Huang with a brace for the Austrians. Nice now face a battle to qualify. Schalke, Shakhtar and Ajax all sealed their places in the last 32 with victories, while Italian side Fiorentina are close to joining them. But 3-time winners Inter need a drastic turnaround. They threw away a lead to lose at Southampton. Now, France boss Didier Deschamps has announced his 23-man squad for November's World Cup qualifier against Sweden and the friendly against the Ivory Coast 4 days later. Arsenal's Olivier Giroud is back after being left out of the last squad. He replaces Manchester United's out-of-favour Anthony Martial. PSG's Adrien Rabiot could win his first cap. He replaces Crystal Palace midfielder Yohan Cabaye, while Ballon d'Or nominees Hugo Lloris, Dimitri Payet, Paul Pogba and Antoine Griezmann are all in the 23. Les Bleus face Sweden at the Stade de France on November 11th before heading to Lens to host the Ivory Coast. Now, England and Scotland have pledged to ignore a FIFA ban preventing them from wearing poppies when the sides meet on Remembrance Day, November the 11th, in a 2018 World Cup qualifier. FIFA rules forbid football players wearing anything that could be perceived as a political statement, with England and Scotland running the risk of being punished if they do not comply. Well, both sides could be deducted points in their qualifying campaigns as a punishment, but both football associations announced on Thursday their intentions to ignore FIFA and wear the poppies.
FIFA, Samura, the General Secretary, has made her position clear. We're surprised. We think their interpretation of their rules is actually incorrect. It's over. We're going to go ahead and commemorate accordingly, along with the Scots and the Welsh, and it won't be discussed any further.
Now to tennis, and Andy Murray powered into the Paris Masters quarter-finals on Thursday as his bid to grab the world #1 spot from Novak Djokovic remains on track. The Briton can top the rankings this week if Djokovic fails to make the final, and he didn't waste any time against France's Lucas Pouille. World #17 Pouille broke Murray's serve to level the opening set, but he folded thereafter as the Wimbledon champion took the next 8 games before closing out a 6-3, 6-love win. His 71st victory of the season. Murray will face the winner of Thomas Berdych or Gilles Simon in the quarters. Djokovic, though, is on course to defend his world #1 spot as he fought back from a set down to beat Grigor Dimitrov. The Serb dropped the opener and needed treatment in the second, but the four-time champion showed his trademark fighting qualities. He came through 4-6, 6-2, 6-3 against the Bulgarian to book a clash with Marin Cilic. Elsewhere, Richard Gasquet threw away a break advantage in the final set as he lost to Jack Sock. American Sock, ranked 24th in the world, stormed to the opening set before Francis Gasquet forced a decider. But Gasquet squandered a golden chance when leading by a break in the third, as Sock came back to win 6-2, 3-6, 7-5. He plays compatriot John Isner in the last day. There was some good news for France, though, with Jo-Wilfried Tsonga going through. He came from a set down to beat Japan's Kai Nishikori. Now on to baseball. Now, fresh from winning a first World Series since 1908, the Chicago Cubs players arrived back in the city on Thursday to a hero's reception. The Cubs, whose 108-year World Series drought was the longest of any club in the MLB, came back from 3-1 down to beat the Cleveland Indians 4-3 in the best-of-7 series, with victory in the decider in Ohio on Wednesday. Well, the celebrations lasted long into the night. The Cubs are the first side to win a World Series from 3-1 down since Kansas City Royals way back in 1985. And that was some achievement, that from the Cubs there, Mark. It really does grab the nation, doesn't it, in the United States.
It's a fantastic story, isn't it? To win after all those years, you know.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Great stuff. Elliot, thank you very much indeed. Elliot Richardson with all the sport. It's time now for our